This is Susan Bieber of Telluride Inside and Out, speaking with the one and only Joe Cocker.
Hey Susan, nice to be with you.
Nice to be with you. Let's sort of start with the subject at hand, Blues and Brews. You were there at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 16, 17 years ago, and I've been through Colorado a few times in the past, you know, on the west, and when I was in, should I say, bad shape, back in the 70s. But a friend of mine, Bob Panetta, was at the show, and after we did the show, and Pam and I, because we'd been living in Santa Barbara for a few years,
Yeah, you said.
and we said, wouldn't it be nice to just get a summer place here, you know? And of course I went along with it, and we searched all over the place. You know, we looked in Telluride. But anyway, we found our way to Crawford. And, you know, she talked me into building this huge house here, which is good in one way. It kept me working all these years. You know.
So Telluride was indirectly responsible for bringing you to Colorado.
Really, I would say more than that, yeah. And here we are doing it again, you know.
On the internet, the word is that this new project is R&B classics. Is that so?
No.
This
no.
is something else.
I just went down to LA and I was talking to 5 different producers. You know, some of these guys, I don't even know their names. They were so young, and they were all throwing new songs at me, and they all, I mean, it's like a modern thing now. You've got like song workshops.
Okay.
So they were kind of just wanted to know what I wanted to do. And it's hard to explain because the radio is so different in Europe, you know, but I know the kind of, they just want a Joe Cocker album for me, but a bit more of a bump to it, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, I couldn't believe getting started with this project. Out of 50 tunes, I would say 45 are ballads, you know, the writers sent me off the bat.
When, for your Telluride set, Blues and Brews, what do you think it will feel like, look like? Is it solo? Are you on your own?
Actually, we're headlining that night.
Yes,
I think,
you are.
on the
You're
Friday night.
You're the closer.
And it was a bit strange when I took the gig on. I knew we did 54 shows already this year, you know, and I thought I was done for the summer, but they talked me into doing it. And then I suddenly realized my band had already shipped out with Taj Mahal, so I got 2 guys missing. So I'm bringing in Kenny Arnoff, who's a great drummer, and a guy called Vanston. God, I'm forgetting his first name now, but he's a good keyboard. It'll be a good show, but it'll be a bit more intense than I've been doing, because I think everybody will be on tenterhooks, you know.
Oh, absolutely. So the name Vance Arnold, that was an early persona. How did that come about?
Everybody, like in Sheffield, around us, I mean, there were names like Johnny Tempest and the Cadillacs. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
was everybody kind of gave themselves silly names, and I took the Vance from like an Elvis movie, and
Which was really Vince, but you made it be Vance.
no, he did a Vance
Oh, he
as well.
did?
Yeah, I forget which one it was, but he did do a Vance, or maybe it was his brother in Love Me Tender. Anyway, and then the Arnold came from Eddie Arnold, you know, the country guy.
Yes.
And, you know, and the Avengers was just, like as I say, you know, we all had Cadillacs, all those kind of names. You know.
So the Avengers really were the launch of your career when you backed up the Rolling Stones at a concert, isn't that? Is that
In
so?
Sheffield, correct, in 1964.
Moving forward, what was your big break? Was it Marilyn?
Was it?
Was it Marjolaine?
Sorry, you call it Margarine. Margarine.
Marjolaine.
Yeah. It was in a way. I remember when it got to 48 on the chart, and you know my heart was beating. I heard it on the radio. I thought, God, this is it. We've cracked it, you know.
Yeah.
But then the next record was Little Help from My Friends, which went to #1 in England, you know, and it was such a big deal that that really was the life changer.
What was your relationship with the Beatles? Were you just professional associates, or were you friends? Or
Well, you know, being in London, and Denny Cordell, I mean, he knew the inner circle, because they were like, you know, they were like rock royalty. They really were.
absolutely.
And when I got invited, you know, I mean, after they heard A Little Help, and they
Yeah.
sent me a telegram saying congratulations, you know, which I would have kept if I'd have known in modern times. But, you know, back
Absolutely.
then,
So, you were at Woodstock, and the cyber world just claims that you described it as an eclipse. What was Woodstock like? Why an eclipse?
well, I don't ever remember saying that.
That's completely understandable. That's what the
But-
cyber world is all about. But what was
But I
Woodstock?
call the time a renaissance.
Okay.
A rock renaissance. It was, I mean, to put it to you like this, imagine like this, to have come from Sheffield in 1967 and then be doing that, but you know, playing pubs to 100
Yeah.
people and then playing to 450,000, you know, in the space of 2 years was pretty amazing. But I'd gone from having a greasy quiff to letting my hair down, and you know, we all got Granny Takes a Trip clothes, and it was quite something how it all came on so quick, you know.
And what was the impact of that experience? I mean, I can't imagine. It must have been just amazing to be surrounded by what turned out to be some of the top talent of the last probably 50 years, 100 years, I don't know.
I was watching a bit of the footage recently, and I mean, most of the bands who were up there were very energized, like Carlos Santana, and I wasn't tripping. I remember I was one of the few people who somehow I didn't get turned on, you know, that day. But I mean, the whole experience of flying in on the bubble helicopter, and we'd already done a couple of big festivals that year. Like there was one in Atlanta to 70,000 people, which I didn't think anything could get any bigger than that, you know. So here I am flying into this thing, and I'm saying, "What's all that?" And the guy goes, "That's what the show, you know." And I dropped right onto the stage, right behind it, and climbed up the stage. The band were already there, so it was like I didn't get a chance to be nervous and just tore into the set, really, you know.
Do you remember the crowd's response to your music?
I remember that it was very hard to get them going, because they were all like munching on stuff. I mean, it was all peace and love, you know. And it was just like a mass of people, and I'm thinking, what do we have to do? And then we did Let's Get Stoned, you know, which is, you know, kind of woke everybody up a little bit. And then when we got A Little Help, because we only did like an hour show,
Okay.
and it was in the daytime. So when we finally got to A Little Help, that I saw this, you know, I felt this throb of humanity suddenly come alive, you know. Yeah. And I know Leon Russell wanted, you know, he actually left a message while I was on tour that Pam picked up. She was going, "Who's the master of space and time?" You know. He left a message saying, "Let's put Mad Dogs together again."
What was the experience of winning that Grammy, and then I guess there was an Oscar component to it as well for Up Where You Belong?
Yeah, a guy called Stuart Levine, the producer, he said, "I've got this song, I know you could make it a monster hit." And it was like, the demo frightened the hell out of me. It was just awful. I mean, and I said, "Listen, this is out of my depth. It's too pop.
I was
can't."
wondering about that.
I said, and he's going, "Well, give it a shot." And they'd already built the track, you know, it was all laid down. I go in the studio, and I sang it a few times, and it's very weird, because I'd had that feeling with You Are So Beautiful. You know, when you have a record that really
Yes.
does super well,
Yes.
you kind of get an intuition thing that. And same thing with Jennifer Warnes came in, and once we started swapping because originally I sang the whole thing like a solo song, you know.
Okay.
And then we started interspersing the idea, and I kind of knew it was going to be a magic kind of tune, you know.
And the world thought so. I mean, it doesn't seem like you've slowed down much, except when you come here to this oasis in Crawford.
Yeah.
So, what is life in Colorado for you?
I get into quite a routine. I mean, I love to walk in these hills here. And, I mean, you know, if I lived in, say, the Lake District in England, there'd be people walking about everywhere. But we're very fortunate in this part, you know, that whether it's because it's like hunting mountains or whatever, we don't get a lot of traffic, you know.
So you
And
really
so I
do.
can take the dogs out there.
You have
and-
total privacy.
And
That's a wrap. This is Susan D. Brock speaking with Joe Cocker for Telluride Inside and Out.
hey, thank you, Susan.
Thank you.